There is a lot of hate going on in this world today, in bullying and being mean to people, and bullying people in school. We're going to talk about it this week. Today, let's say you're unable to go to social media bullying. Let's say you're in a situation where a person calls somebody a name, a racist slur. You need to step up to the plate and say that's not right. It's not okay if somebody does that. Using social media, if somebody is saying something wrong on social media, step up on the plate and do something about it. But if they're just being a jerk, well, then just block them. But if you feel they're trying to hurt others or laughing at others or laughing at you instead of joking, taking the joke too far, say it makes me feel uncomfortable when you talk about me or when you talk about other people. It makes me feel upset. Don't go along with the joke. Step up. Mentally feeling upset or embarrassed or stupid or even afraid or angry is part of bullying. Emotional feeling ashamed or losing interest in things you love, physically, or expressing symptoms like stomach aches and PTSD. PTSD is a situation where a person may be saying something hateful and it portrays into something really bad. PTSD may be from authority of abuse or mentally abused or any of those things. If that happens, it's a tough situation and a tough situation of how people are going to find out. But if you see it, put a stop to it. If things, and you may also say to a person, if this continues and you keep continuing to make fun of this person, I will no longer be a part of your life. I will not participate in bullying, and I will not participate in your life if this continues to happen. That's Sam Vaughn's mental health. How to make sure that social media is bullying and they're not just trying to be jerks. If they're just calling you an a-hole, they're probably just trying to be jerks, and that's when you just block them. But a person puts a social media on a guy and a guy kissing, and people started to make LGBTQ anti-slurs, and it's more than just one person. Let's say it's 10 people. Let's say it's 5 even. You should let authority know and about the social media bullying if you're in school. I also think Mark Zuckerberg or any Twitter, X, Instagram, or whatever, the inventor thinks they're too good. And they should have a devoted team towards bullying and scammers to make Facebook and those sites a better site. That's Sam Vaughn's Mental Health Day.
And that question is, at first, social media seemed like a boon to democracy, but we have since seen its use to divide or radicalize. How does the digital ecosystem affect our ability to come together? And how can individuals and leaders navigate this new landscape to bring us back together?
Shannon, you want a very, very interesting question. And I wish we had a lot longer. That is this question about the impact of social media. Actually, I've done a lot of thinking about it in the aftermath of the book called Bowling Alone that I published 20 years ago. Because Bowling Alone talked about how we were not coming together, and used bowling leagues as an example. But then 4 or 5 years after Bowling Alone was published, social media were invented, and then the question is, well, okay, can Facebook or TikTok replace bowling leagues? Initially, there was this period of enormous cyber euphoria, the thought that the social media was going to completely transform our lives, and it was going to be one long, unending global community. After about 5 years, that no longer was a very prominent view, and the same thing has happened actually during the pandemic. Early in the pandemic, people were thinking, "Oh, this is fine. It's going to be just as, maybe even better, that we can talk to our relatives all the way around the world anytime we want." But we've all just been through Thanksgiving, and we know that idea that virtual connections are just as good or maybe better than face-to-face connections. I think the country has reached a consensus that it isn't that. The face-to-face connections matter a lot. And face-to-face connections are not perfect. Of course they're not. We can get polarization and we can get inequality even in a face-to-face world. But I think our view is that what was once thought to be a panacea, that everything wrong with society was going to be fixed, is no longer plausible. And indeed, in some respects, the issue of polarization that we're living with has been exacerbated by social media. I do not believe actually that social media are the full cause of this. I think that there are a lot of other factors that have played a role in the polarization, but social media have not been a help.
Various things and used that to spew some hateful comments. Now it's hard to restrict that and to pull that back now, but I'd like to see some more ability to kind of monitor things like that online. I mean, now we see some of these, the heads of Facebook, X, with Elon Musk, they seem to almost promote that nowadays. So that's not good. That gives people the ability to just say whatever they want and not really face any consequences. So, and somebody's going to get hurt by that, maybe physically, but certainly, mentally and emotionally. So, like I said, words matter. You need to pick your words carefully. Unless you're into, now some people's intent is to hurt people, emotionally and mentally. That's why they do it. They think it's, that makes them feel bigger and stronger and more important. Maybe that needs to go away somehow, but it's just hard if your leaders are not ones that are going to step up, and people, and our leaders are so disrespected now. The public doesn't really respect, especially our political leaders right now, for the most part, that it's tough for them to come out and say anything, and people take it, at face value and say, you know what, they made a good point there. You never hear a Democrat or Republican, or I know I'm getting political again, vice versa, saying, hey, that person made a great point on the other party. They just consistently criticize them. So that makes it tough for the public to come around, I think, as long as they see their leaders acting like children in many cases. So they tend to do that too. We tend to follow what our leaders do, I think. And right now, they're not in the mood to try and come together on and understanding each other's thoughts and feelings and weaknesses and strengths and all that. So until I think it's going to have to trickle from the top down. And if that doesn't happen, then I don't see the rest of the public coming around. I don't think, it's hard to imagine the public, kind of a grassroots effort where it comes from, people like us and filters all the way up, unless we start electing people who have views like us. I mean, that's the thing. I think if we start doing that, maybe it'll change a little bit, but that doesn't seem to be in the cards right now.
Last night, the Kansas Jayhawks didn't meet well up to expectation. For the first half, TCU kept right with them. And it was 35-33 at the break. But KU pulled off one of their normal runs. And KU outscored them 41-26. Hunter Dickerson finished with 16, and Noah Reynolds finished with 14. And last night in Kansas State basketball, Kansas State loses another tight one. Struggles, losing last night 70-62 to Baylor. We've got another coaching evaluation on the Jets, who've settled on their man. Now we've just got the Cowboys left. That's Sam on Sports.